Now we are going to discuss behavior and change. Changing behaviors is essentially problem solving. The old behavior isn't benefiting your lifestyle to help you reach your goals, so we have to adopt new behaviors to get that desired outcome. Everyone knows their ABCs, but they might not know their ABCs for behavior change. Our behavior change ABCs is A, antecedent, B, behavior, and C, consequence. An antecedent is a stimulus that provokes the behavior. So for example, something that someone says or does, standards or objectives, or environmental cues. And we'll come back to those cues in a sec. Behavior is something that's observable and measurable. And a consequence is a result of the behavior. So the antecedent drives behavior and a consequence motivates it. So let's roll back to those cues that I said we'd come back to. Food cues are factors that affect how much we eat. So hunger, of course, is one reason we eat because we're hungry. And that's a positive food cue, so something we want to pay attention to. Other food cues include thoughts and or feelings, so you may eat because you feel lonely or bored or even happy. Other people could be a reason why we eat. You might eat something because it's offered to you or because other people are eating it. Sight or smell of food is one of the most powerful food cues. And then even certain activities such as watching TV or scrolling through your phone, those could also be food cues because they may make you think about eating. And so when it comes to changing food cues, you can keep specific foods out of sight or build a new, healthier habit in response to that cue. And that's usually the one I like to go off of. We also have activity cues. So activity cues are factors that affect our level of activity, which can be impacted by time, energy levels, weather, motivation, and even confidence. And so to become active regularly, you must add positive activity cues to your life. So over time, the cues will lead to activity and you will develop new habits that become more and more automatic. So an example of an activity cue could be leaving your gym clothes out on the chair next to your bed so you can get into them right away so you know that you're going to work out first thing in the morning. That is an example of an activity cue. Negative thoughts are thoughts that cause us to lose hope or that stand in the way of our progress. A negative thought is usually a criticism of ourselves. Everyone has negative thoughts at times, and negative thoughts can lead us to derail our progress and sometimes lead to a negative action. When a negative thought leads to our behaving in an unhealthy way, and that behavior in turn leads to yet another negative thought, we are beginning a spiral into a vicious cycle of self-defeat. So here's how to talk back to negative thoughts. Catch yourself having the negative thought and ask, is this thought moving me forward or bringing me down? As soon as you are aware of a negative thought, say to yourself, I'm doing it to myself, I'm being negative about myself. Imagine saying, stop, to yourself. Picture a huge red stop sign, just like the one on this slide. The stop sign is so big that it takes up all the room in your mind. It should startle you and get rid of that negative thought. And then talk back with a positive thought. No matter how effectively you have stopped a negative thought, it'll probably return again in a similar situation because it is a habit. That's why building new habits is important, especially after you stop a negative thought. Talk back to it with a positive thought. And we've made our way back to our original negative self-talk slide. Except this time we have examples on how to talk back, building that positive habit, right? So instead of saying, I'm too fat, we can say, I feel stressed about my body image right now. Instead of saying, why does this matter? We can say, every little bit counts. I'm doing what I can. Instead of saying, there's something wrong with me, we can instead say, I'm not progressing like I'd like to. How can I get extra help? Instead of saying, the one that we probably all say, I've only lost 5 pounds. We can say instead, I've lost 5 pounds. That's 5 pounds less than I had before. I can keep going. So what's holding you back? To move forward and to have positive thoughts, removing words like always, must, should, never. I'm the type of person who, because when those words are in our common phrases, especially around the goals that we're setting for ourselves, it can start to feel like a bit of a guilt trip. And then we might end up feeling resentful or discouraged. And those aren't emotional states that are conducive to positive behavior change. So, taking a step back, assessing the goals that you set for yourself, maybe it means we have to break them down even further to make them actionable and something that is realistic for your life. And we can take away those always and should and must and say, on Friday, I will do this, or on Friday, I can do this XYZ goal. And we're much more likely to do it instead of saying, well, I should work out on Friday. That's not as helpful. So I can and I will and I am statements are super, super powerful.